Memorial Moot Court Competition Final.
Everyone, I warmly welcome you all for the prestigious Dr. Ashok Kumar Mahapatra Moot Court competition. Uh, Before proceeding towards the final moot court round of the moot court competition, I welcome warmly Mr. Vijay Kumar Ragada, our Secretary of Moot Court Memorial Committee, who is an advocate of Odisha High Court, who was also the former Secretary of Bar Association Odisha High Court, and ironically, Sir was the Secretary when Dr. Ashok Kumar Mahapatra was President of the Bar Association. So with this, I just want to welcome Sir Mr. Vijay Kumar Ragada to take over the meeting. Sir, please.
Good evening to everybody. Respected my Lord Justice S. Naidu and respected my Lord Justice D.P. Chaudhary and other participants present in the virtual meeting. And also I thanks to Prabhu Prasanna Behera who is guiding us, and I also thanks to all the family members of Dr. Ashok Kumar Mahapatra and the members of the Memorial Committee. Today I say it is a great day for all of us, as because always Professor Dr. Ashok Kumar Mahapatra he has keen interest in moot court competitions, and he was also a professor, and he was teaching in the Soa University, Soa Law College, and in his memory, the instance of his family members, the Memorial Committee established this year. 1 year in the meantime, 1 year has been elapsed after his departure. We have today two of the distinguished judges of our own High Court. I have appeared both judges in the High Court. Justice S. Naidu, born on 5th July 1948 at Armstrong Road, Puri, passed matriculation from Puri Jilla School, graduated from Bhadrak College, did his LLB degree from MS Law College, Cuttack, joined the bar in the year 1973, started practice in Odisha High Court on civil, criminal, constitutional service side under the juniorship of late Srikant Mahanti, ex-Advocate General of Odisha. He appointed as additional government advocate for state of Odisha in the year 1989, 88 and 89. He served as a judge of Odisha High Court from 29/9/2000 to 4/7/2010, and after his retirement, he was also served as the vice chairman in Green Tribunal and also chairperson in Green Tribunal. It is from Odisha. I can say he was the first man who became the chairperson of National Green Tribunal at New Delhi, and that apart, he is very good, having good personality, and he is known to each and everybody, and more particularly he loves the students, and it is my opportunity. I had appeared so many cases before justice. If disposal rate of my Lord Justice Naidu during her tenure as the judge of Odisha High Court, it is very high, and these words I introduced my Lord Justice S. Naidu in this virtual moot court competition, and also I would like to introduce my Lord Justice D.P. Chaudhary, Dr. Justice D.P. Chaudhary. My Lord Dr. Justice D.P. Chaudhary, born on 3/7/1956 at Cuttack, passed high school certificate examination in first division in 1972, passed BSc with distinction in 1976 at Ravenshaw College, Cuttack, LLB from Madhusudan Law College, Cuttack in the year 1979, and also he joined Odisha. Thereafter, he joined in the Odisha High Court Bar Association as a member of Odisha High Court and practicing in the Odisha High Court. Thereafter, joined judicial service from 1982. Thereafter, became the district judge at Bhubaneswar, and he was also sometime was the director of Odisha Judicial Academy, and also he served as the judge of Odisha High Court from 17/4/2015 to 3/7/2018, and now he is he is the chairperson of Odisha State Consumer Redressal Forum. And these words I introduce my Lord Justice D.P. Chaudhary, and both the judges are the distinguished judges. I would like to say something about Professor Dr. Ashok Kumar Mahapatra. He was a I can say he's a very not strong, but also he's very daring, having daring personality, and it is my good luck that I was working under him as the secretary when he was the president of the High Court Bar Association, and his report we are able to conduct so many seminars, and most of the seminars Dr. Chaudhary was the speaker when during our tenure. That about Dr. Ashok Mahapatra wanted to organize the All Odisha Lawyers Association function at Cuttack, and during his leadership, we are able to, at that time, we were able to conduct a All Odisha Lawyers conference at Jawaharlal Nehru Indoor Stadium, Cuttack, and also during his tenure, it is a great opportunity for us, and we are able to organize the function of centenary of Patna High Court at Odisha, and so far the 100 years of establishment of Odisha High Court, so far the circuit bench is concerned, and that about the Ashok Mahapatra Memorial Committee, though established this year, and wanted to organize so many functions, and his family members also cooperating us. Today, since he was interested for the moot court competition, so when he was alive, and for that reason, his son Alok Kumar Mahapatra and his daughter-in-law and his wife and all the family members were cooperating us. For this reason, we are this year, today we are reached the final day today, and I also thank both the judges for their presence today meeting, virtual meeting. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for your valuable words. Before starting the memorial moot court competition final round, I just want to aware your lordships about the rules and regulations of this competition. Your lordships, I may proceed.
Yes, proceed.
Much obliged, your lordships. Your lordships, in the final round, each team will be, there are two teams, team 5 and team 11. Team 5 is the respondent and team 11 is the petitioner. And each team is allowed to speak for 1 hour, and each speaker of amongst that particular team will be given 30 minutes maximum from that 1 hour, and rebuttal's time will be also be given from that 1 hour itself. Your lordships, coming on to the second rules, that if the time is to be extended, it will be extended as per the discretion of this honorable court. And your honors and your lordships, if your lordships permits, then the participants are allowed to show their screen share, that any research they are having. And your lordships, I want to aware this honorable court that team code 5, who is the respondent, speaker 1 will be speaking for 25 minutes, and speaker 2 will be speaking for 30 minutes, and 8 minutes they have taken for the rebuttals. And team 11, who are the petitioner in this final round, the speaker 1 will be speaking for 27 minutes, and speaker 2 will be speaking for 28 minutes, and 5 minutes they have taken for the rebuttals. With the permission of this honorable court, we shall be starting our final round. Lordships, shall we proceed?
Sure. Start. Comments.
Much obliged, your honors. Much obliged.
Who is the first mooter?
Your Lordship. May it please the court, I would like to ask for the permission to refer the bench collectively as your lordships.
Yes, yes. Go ahead. You're appearing for the claimant. You're appearing for whom?
Your lordship, the counsel is appearing for the petitioner Danny and the respondent state.
Right. Go ahead.
Would your lordships like to have a brief synopsis of the facts?
Yes.
Your lordships, on 20th July, Jon Snow, aged 42 years, along with his son Drogon, was traveling through his regular pathway. In the meanwhile, a live wire suddenly fell on his head and he died immediately as the current was very high due to electrocution. The son, pulling him out of fatherly love, also died, and they both were taken to the hospitals. Citadel. The postmortem report of the doctor also confirmed the same, that the both died due to the electrocution. Then also there was a witness named Tyron who confirmed the same thing. After 2 days, the deceased wife, that is Danny, who is the petitioner in the case, filed a complaint against the authority IPCWDL because of the negligence and improper duty of the company and its authorities, as they are responsible for transmission and distribution in Nightwatch district due to the death which has occurred. AFR was lodged. AFR was lodged under Section 304A of KPC against two persons, namely
What is the
JP.
date of occurrence? What is the date of occurrence?
Your Lordship, 20th July 2021.
20 July.
2021.
And when the FIR was filed?
The FIR was filed after 2 days.
All right. 22nd. 22nd July 2021. I proceed.
In your Lordship. Lordship, FIR was lodged under Section 304A of KPC and 336 of KPC against two persons, namely Jamie and Theon, who were present on duty that particular day. They are the executive engineers of the company IPCWDL. The postmortem report of both the deceased also stated that the death has occurred due to electrocution. The statement made by the Tyrant also confirmed the same.
One is executioner, who is the other one?
Your Lordship,
One is executioner, who is the other one?
Assistant
Two persons,
Executive
no?
Engineer.
Okay, fine, proceed.
Indeed, Your Lordship. Your Lordship, on 25 September 2021, suddenly the electricity of the petitioner Danny's house went off, where in her surrounding area there were electricity all around. After 2 days, the electricity connection was not restored and she was troubled. So she went to the company and asked for the reasons. The company stated that the petitioner's husband, that is the deceased, has not cleared the amount of rupees 15,000, following which they cut the power cut. There was a mutual settlement between the Danny and the company that the Danny will pay the due through installments, and the company will restore the electricity. But that settlement did not result, as the company did not restore to the electricity. After seeing there is a slow progress in the criminal case and the electricity was still not restored yet, the wife of the deceased approached the High Court under Article 226 of the Constitution and asked for 40 lakh compensation for the death of her husband and son on the ground of negligence done by the company. In the same petition, she also prayed for a direction to the IPCWDL.
When you moved the High Court, you moved the High Court on which date?
Your Lordship,
You moved the High Court on which date? When you moved the High
Your
Court?
Lordship, after the settlement between the company and the Danny was done, and still the electricity was not restored. After that few days, she moved
One
forward.
minute. What is the settlement about?
The settlement is about that about that Danny will pay the electricity due in installments, and the company will restore the electricity.
So the settlement has got nothing to do with the incident or the accident.
Indeed, Your
Right.
Lordship. Indeed, Your Lordship. This is just the fact, Your Lordship.
It's a
Right.
fact.
Go ahead.
It's a fact.
Indeed, Your Lordship. Indeed, Your
All right.
Lordship.
All right.
Go ahead. No problem.
Indeed, Your Lordship. Meanwhile, the accused persons, that is Jamie and Theon, also filed a writ petition before the Honorable High Court to quash the cognizance order of the learned JMFC. Thus, the High Court has clubbed both the matter for a joint hearing.
Yes.
If the lordships are well versed with the facts, may the council proceed with the issues stated.
Proceed. What you have prepared, proceed. Go ahead with your argument. Yes.
Your lordship, the issues raised by the council for the petitioner are whether the writ petition is filed by the petitioner Danny is maintainable or not, whether the respondent was negligent in its conduct, thus should provide compensation to petitioner 1 and restore the electricity connection. Third issue is whether the cognizance order of the learned JMFC should be quashed. Your lordship, the council, that is the speaker
1
1,
minute.
would be dealing with
Your-
issues.
Your client, 1 minute. Your client also moves the consumer forum.
Before
Your
going to
client-
High Court. Before going to
Before
High Court.
going to the settlement and other, your
Indeed,
client has
sir.
moved the consumer forum, and consumer forum has also awarded
Your
some amount.
lordship.
You are forgetting the facts.
No,
You have to tell all the facts. So many
yes,
facts.
indeed, your lordship, I beg your pardon. Your lordship, the consumer forum has not awarded that. She had claimed it, but then she withdrew it.
Say withdraw it. Yeah.
Indeed.
Yes.
Your lordship, coming back to the first issue, that is whether the writ petition filed by the petitioner is maintainable or not. Your lordship, under
Good.
Article 226
Yes.
226 of the Constitution, the Honorable High Court has powers throughout the territories in relation to which it exercises jurisdiction to issue any person or authority, including in appropriate cases, any government within those territories' directions. The petitioner Danny has filed the petitioner before the Honorable High Court for issuance of direction to the respondent IPCWDL for granting compensation. The Honorable Court, in exercise of jurisdiction under Article 226 of the Constitution, under public law, can consider and grant compensation to the victims or heirs of the victims who has suffered.
How many types of writs are there?
Your Lordship, 5.
5 types of writs. Kindly name them, please.
Your Lordship, mandamus,
Mandamus,
prohibition, co-warrantor,
Co-warrantor.
habeas corpus,
Governor and
habeas
What?
corpus,
Habeas
civil
corpus.
process. Then
Then
statutory.
Indeed, Your Lordship.
Statutory. So your writ application was under which? What type of writ application was?
Under mandamus, Your Lordship, as under mandamus, the High Court can.
When the mandamus is issued, under what circumstances a writ of
Mandamus.
mandamus is issued?
Your Lordship, the Danny has filed the writ of mandamus as she wanted the High Court to give direction to the company for restoration of electricity as well as for paying compensation.
okay.
Okay.
Indeed,
Yes,
Your
proceed.
Indeed, Your Lordship. The Honorable High Court, in exercise of its jurisdiction under Article 226 of the Constitution of India under public law, can consider and grant compensation to the victims and heirs of the victims who has suffered an infringement of fundamental right guaranteed under Article 21, that is right to life and personal liberty. The
What is
company
Article 21? What is Article 21? Please explain again.
Article 21 gives right to life and personal liberty. It is the sole.
Then
It is the sole.
without law being established, no
Your
person has
Lordship,
right to liberty without law being established.
You give
You have to give that Article 21 clearly, no?
Indeed, Your Lordship. Indeed, Your Lordship. Article 21 of the Constitution states that no person shall be deprived of his life or personal liberty under the circumstances by law.
No. It's all right. Proceed. Yes.
Indeed, Your Lordship. The company IPCWDL has been conferred with the power supply of the Night Watch district, of which the deceased was a resident. Your Lordship, the death of the deceased, John Snow, occurred due to the snapping of the live wire of the electric pole, which was statutorily maintained by the company IPCWDL. Right to life is a fundamental right guaranteed under Article 21 of the Constitution, and for its breach or violation, the petitioner is entitled to claim monetary compensation from the company who are responsible for its breach.
Yes.
Sir?
Your Lordship. The
Yes, sir?
petitioner, the petitioner was the. I beg your pardon, Lordship. I couldn't hear.
No, it's all right. Continue.
Proceed.
Continue.
Indeed, Your Lordship. The petitioner has lost her husband, who was the sole breadwinner of the family. Monetary compensation, therefore, can be adjusted with the mandate of Article 21 secured to Malak its violators. In Ruddal Shah versus State of Bihar, 1983, AIR 1086, it was held that the Honorable Court has not only the jurisdiction and power to grant relief to the victims and heirs of the victims, but also an obligation for also an obligation regarding the violation of fundamental right. Your Lordship, the Council would like to state that the compensation asked by the petitioner comes under the scope of exemplary damages and must be awarded against the company for breach of its public duty. In
You're
MC
right. Compensation, is it not a fact? Compensation and quantum of compensation, are they not facts dependent on many other things?
Indeed, Your Lordship. Indeed, Your
Right.
Lordship.
Whether questions of facts directly can be adjudicated in the High Court.
Your Lordship, the question of facts are are generally not taken under writ petition of the High Court, but in exceptional cases, the High Court, the High Court and the Apex Court both have held that when there has been an infringement of fundamental right, then the petitions regarding compensation can be taken.
I'm asking about quantum. High Court's power is there, no problem. But what will be the quantum? The quantum is dependent on each case. What is the violation? How much compensation is necessary to be given? These are all facts, factual issues. Whether
Indeed,
the
Lordship.
who committed the latches, or whose latches the accident took place or the death place, these are all facts which has to be determined. And how a fact is determined? By adducing evidence. Yes or no?
Indeed, Your Lordship. Indeed, Your Lordship.
Right. How a High Court will decide such questions of facts?
Your Lordship, the High Court can refer the matter through to an arbitrator who can decide the facts, but that can only be done under the issuance of High Courts.
Without an agreement, arbitrator will be appointed to decide the facts between the parties.
Your Lordship, if the High Court issues the direction, then there will be agreement.
Anyhow, proceed.
Your Lordship.
Proceed.
Indeed, Your Lordship. Your Lordship,
Somebody is there monitoring the time. Okay, right. Then go on.
Yes.
Yes.
Proceed.
Your Lordship. Your Lordship, in Susanta Samant and others versus West Bengal Board, it was held that it is not a bar to grant relief in public law field in exercise of jurisdiction under Article 226 in case of deprivation of life due to negligence on the part of the company, which includes statutory authority.
Proceed.
Madam,
Proceed.
High Court's power to issue compensation, there is no, quarrel about that. But what will be the quantum of compensation? That is a fact to be determined. That's what we are saying. So whether that fact, what will be compensation, whether it will be 5 lakhs or 50 lakhs or 5 crores or 500 crores, that depends on the facts, isn't it? On what are the latches committed, who committed the latches, whether that can be decided under a writ of mandamus.
Indeed, Your Lordship.
All right, you can go ahead, no problem. You are prepared.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Indeed, Your Lordship. Your Lordship, Your Lordship, it is further submitted that the petitioner has been deprived of the electricity by the respondent due to the failure of payment of dues. Your Lordship, the payment of dues was pending of rupees 15,000 as stated by the company. Your Lordship, the Council would like to state Section 24 of the Indian Electricity Act 1910, which statutorily confers a duty on the supplier to present a notice.
Is the Electricity Act 1910 will apply, or some other act will apply, a subsequent amendment act, some subsequent act repeal will apply? Which law will apply?
Your Lordship, 2000 Act 2003 also can be applied.
Proceed.
Indeed, Your
Act,
Indeed, Your
if you go to the
Your
Electricity
Lordship,
Act, under the Electricity Act, if there is a dispute, then there is an ombudsman, isn't it?
Indeed,
There's a forum called ombudsman, to before whom you have to go and first knock your head. Thereafter, failing, you can come to the High Court. Have you approached the ombudsman?
Your Lordship, the petitioner has also had a talk with the company, and before cutting the power cut, the notice should be issued. Your Lordship, as electricity is a basic necessity provided in under Article 21 of the Constitution.
Basic, yes.
Before depriving the this right, there should at least be a statutorily notice, which was not provided to the petitioner. Hence, hence it has been the distribution of electricity doesn't stand it. Your Lordship, electricity considered as an integral part of right to life under Article 21. In
Have you heard the case of Nilavati Behra versus State of Orissa? Nilavati Behra.
Indeed, Your Lordship.
Okay. Go ahead.
Indeed, Your Lordship.
Go ahead.
Your Lordship, the Honorable Bench want to refer to the facts of the Nilavati Behra case?
No, proceed. As you are arguing, you proceed. Right? Just I want to know that whether you know this case or not. That's all. Proceed.
Yes.
Indeed, Your Lordship.
That's all.
In Madanlal versus State of Himachal Pradesh, CRL 1786 of 2002, it was held that electricity is a basic necessity for human being and can be well termed as an essential right, essential of human right. Moreover, there was also a settlement between the officer and the department of the petitioner to restore the connection, but the company did not adhere to their words, and the petitioner had to face a lot of difficulty because of the absence of power.
Madam, in that decision, is it stated by the Honorable High Court has observed that in spite of the fact that there are arrears, the bills are not paid, till then the company will go on supplying electricity. Is that the facts of that case? Admittedly, your client was in arrears, maybe 1 rupee, maybe 5 rupee. Once there is an arrear, they have got an obligation to disconnect the electricity. So how you overtime it?
Indeed, Your Lordship.
Have you received notice or not?
The decision which you are citing,
Notice or not?
No,
the decision which you are
the council
citing
would like to
doesn't
state
deal
that
about this.
no,
You can't, right?
Your Lordship, the council
Yes.
would like to state that no such notice was provided. Under Section 24 of the Indian Electricity Act, there should be a notice in writing before 7 days of the power cut, but no such notice has been provided to the petitioner. So, the respondent did not added to the statutory duty.
Okay, proceed.
Your Lordships, if the Lordships are satisfied with the contention of this issue, should I move forward to the next issue?
Proceed. If you have any other points, proceed.
We are
The
satisfied
next
with
issue
your
is
submission. So go ahead.
Go ahead.
indeed, Your Lordship, no problem. That is the next issue for the council states that whether the respondent was negligent in its conduct and thus should provide compensation to the petitioner one and restore the electricity in the house of the petitioner one.
Okay. Yes.
Your Lordship.
Yes, proceed.
Indeed, Your Lordship. Your Lordship, it is humbly submitted
You
to the
finish-
Honorable
you-
Court
you
that there is
finish
no
argument within
dispute.
time. Yes.
It is humbly submitted to the Honorable Court that there is no dispute that the death of the deceased was due to electrocution. The evidence and the witness confirm the same, and the electrocution occurred due to the live wire of the electric poles that had been maintained by the company. Therefore, Your Lordship, we can apply here the maxim res ipsa liquator, that is, the situation speaks for itself. as the death occurred due to the snapping of live wire, which was maintained by the respondents. It clearly shows the respondents were negligent in their conduct, due to which the live wire snapped. Your
Okay,
Lordship, the
next.
respondent has been conferred the duty of power supply, which involves a risky exposure to human life if any case of negligence arises. So the respondent must have taken appropriate care to ensure that such things wouldn't have occurred. Your Lordship, in MP Electricity Board versus Sahil Kumari, AIR 2002 SC 551, and others, the apex court held that even after assuming that all such measures have been adopted, a person undertaking a activity involving hazardous or risky exposure to human life is liable to compensate for the injury for the suffered by any other person, irrespective of the negligence or carelessness on the part of the managers of such undertaking. The statutory duty of the respondent was to maintain the electric poles and supply of electricity, which is involves a
in usual condition. But when there is a cyclone and when that area is prone to cyclone, number one, and there was a cyclone and disruption for about so many days, that person you didn't say. And the most important is the day when the incident occurred, it was raining. And still, though it was raining, the person who was died, he was walking under the electric line. You should be more careful. You should not have walked under the electric line when it is raining. So there are some contributory negligence also can be attributed to you. Yes or no?
no, Your Lordship. Council would
Attributed-
like to state. No, Your
Can it be
Lordship.
taken as the act of God? Can it be taken as the act of God?
No, Your Lordship, it shouldn't be the act of God. Because there is because the to define act of God, there must be intents of the situation. There was not intents of the situation, so the act of God cannot be applied. Also, also the rules and regulations of the company is that there should be a distance ensured of the electric poles, so that above the human height, average above the human height, so that the head is not touched. So if that distance was not particularly maintained, if that
Fact says the electric wire snapped and fell on the head. Not that it was on the headline. It snapped, that means it was disconnected and fell on the head. And that another thing on the fact is it was raining. And another fact is it was disconnected for quite a good number of times because there was a heavy cyclone in that area.
And second victim has got own fault because he dragged the first victim. That is why he is affected.
he should not have
In
touched it
He should not
In
have
your
lost
lordship, that-
because
killing
it's-
that person.
So, all right. Anyhow,
In the
it's all
lordship.
right. That's all.
Proceed.
Indeed, Your Lordship. Your Lordship, the Council would like to answer the questions put forward by the Lordships. Your Lordship, as mentioned, there was heavy rain. The board should have taken a measure to supply the power cut, as it normally happens. But the board did not do that. So as a result, the live was having power. If the board would have the executive engineers present that they would have stopped the power cut, then the live would be rendered harmless, Your Lordship. And Your Lordship, the Council would like to draw your attention that 20 days prior to the incident, there was maintenance of the electric lines, and there was a proper safety and proper maintenance and proper check and installation. Your Lordship, just
How many
20
types
days
of-
prior.
How many types of liabilities are there?
Your Lordship,
Because the
there are
executive engineer himself will not climb on the top of the pole and correct it. So it's only what type of liability you will say? It is. It may
Your
be.
Lordship, the Council is making argument based on strict liability.
Now, have you heard anything like vicarious liability?
In Your Lordship, under vicarious liability, the actions of the employees would be the actions of the
You develop that little more.
What is vicarious liability? What is vicarious liability? Just develop.
Your Lordship,
Vicarious liability develop. Under
the act-
from which concept it has come?
It's garbage again.
Your Lordship, Your Lordship,
Have you read the law of courts?
Your Lordship, the council is in the first year, so I beg your pardon for that.
Oh, I see. Okay.
All right, go ahead, no problem.
Proceed.
Much obliged, Your Lordship. Your Lordship,
Well.
Your Lordship, and 20 days prior that there was
Is the vicarious liability developed in India or in somewhere? This
Lordship,
concept developed in India or in somewhere?
Your Lordship, the council has no
Oh, you are
idea.
okay. Proceed.
Okay,
Proceed.
Indeed, Your Lordship.
Well, who is the
Indeed, Your
timer?
Lordship.
Time is maintained. How much time? I
How
think
much time it is?
They are over time.
Your Lordship,
Who is maintaining the
Okay,
time?
you are answering within time. You have to answer within time. You have to finish, right? And in the conclusion, your conclusion.
2 minutes left. Okay, all right, go
2
ahead.
minutes left. 2 minutes left.
Your Lordship, before 20 days there was proper maintenance and thorough check. But in only 20 days, the unfortunate incident happened. This shows that the maintenance and the check was not properly made, because on the basis of only 20 days the wire snapped. So if there would have been proper maintenance, then at least it would have lasted a month. If we take a reasonable time, it would have lasted a month if proper reasonable care had been taken. But under just 20 days this happened, and this doesn't this really shows that the respondent were negligent in their maintenance. With this,
All right. All right. You have argued the matter in writ matter because you're petitioner. What is your argument in the defense of that way the petition is filed under 482 by the other two engineers? What is the argument in defense?
Your Lordship, Your Lordship, are you asking for the state defense for the state?
You are not party to it. You are not party to it.
Your Lordship, indeed, Your Lordship, the High Court has, for the convenience, has arranged Danny and state in one memorial. So,
Right.
Indeed, Your Lordship.
Now for passing,
You have nothing else. You are passing to state. Okay, fine.
Indeed, Your
Fine.
Lordship. Indeed, Your Lordship. With this, the council seeks permission to address a co-council to address the rest of the issues.
Time over.
The council seeks permission to address the bench.
Yes.
Much obliged. The council seeks permission to continue the issue 2, which is charges framed against the accused under section 304A and 336 of KPC are sustainable. It is humbly submitted to the Honorable Court that 304A states that whoever causes the death of any person by doing any rash or negligent act not amounting to culpable homicide shall be punished with imprisonment of either description for a term
for
which may
whom you are appearing? You are appearing for whom? Saint Clement or
You are appearing for whom?
Your Lordship, from the petitioner side.
you're from the petitioner?
Danny, yes.
Okay.
Shall I proceed, Your Lordship?
Yeah. Proceed.
Okay. Much obliged. It is humbly submitted to the Honorable Court that 304A states that whoever causes the death of any person by doing any rash or negligent act not amounting to culpable homicide shall be punished with imprisonment of either description for a term which may extend to 2 years or with fine or with both. And 336 of KPC states that whoever does any act so rashly or negligently as to endanger a life or the personal safety of others shall be punished with imprisonment of either description for a term which may extend to 3 months or with fine which may extend to 250 rupees. Thus, section 304A and 336 of KPC suggest proximate cause of death must be due to rash and negligent act of the respondent. The conditions and ingredients that satisfy the negligent act consist duty, breach of duty amounting to gross negligence, and loss suffered by the complainant. The council would like to draw the attention of the Honorable High Court to point 2 of the moot proposition that that the responsibility of the transmission and distribution of power in night watch district was statutorily conferred on the respondent IPCWDL. This reveals that the respondent had an absolute duty towards the citizens of the night watch. Further, it is humbly submitted to the Honorable Court that Section 91 of Indian Electricity Act statutorily confers a duty on the appropriate authority for installation of a safety device for rendering the line electrically harmless in case it breaks. However, the respondent have not adhered to the statutory duty, as a result of which the line did not become electrically harmless. This amounts to breach of duty on the part of the respondent, Your Lordship. Moreover,
Okay.
Moreover, there has been a serious violation of Rule 29 of the Electricity Act, and as the quality of the work was very poor, otherwise the wire would not have slipped from the pole. Slipping of wire is thus due to improper construction and maintenance. It is further submitted that in Your Lordship, can I proceed with the screen sharing, if it is allowed?
Oh, yes, show it.
Much obliged.
Yes. But time is consumed by that also, and also the
Your
time
Lordship, my co-counsel will.
will spare for that. Will not spare for that.
I beg your pardon, Your Lordship. My co-counsel would have. Okay.
All right, leave it.
Okay, Your Lordship. It is
Go ahead.
further submitted in the case of Rajni Devi versus Chairman of Odisha Electricity Board, where a report has been provided, where it has stated that pre-monsoon checking should be taken up for all overhead lines so that no conductor snaps or slips from the pin binding easily. The field engineers should ensure that an adequate ground clearance is maintained for all overhead conductors. Wide publicity should be made by the board to create awareness among the public about the danger of loose hanging wire. Further, it is humble submission that criminal negligence is the gross and culpable neglect or failure to exercise that reasonable or proper care and precaution to guard against the injury either to the public generally or to an individual in particular, which having regard to all the
Under what
circumstances.
legal principles? Under what legal principles? Under what legal principles? This concept, what is showing? Yes.
Your Lordship, criminal negligence.
Okay. Go ahead.
Indeed, Your Lordship. Thus, there is a criminal negligence on the part of the respondent that they have failed to provide the standard of care they had on their part. The respondent have utterly failed to discharge the burden they had upon them due to the negligence, carelessness, and failure of the respondent in maintaining the electric poles and the wires properly, amounted to death of the deceased, and therefore are liable for criminal negligence. The supervisory staff are responsible for the accidents.
Yes.
Thus, moreover, the petitioner lost the sole breadwinner of the family as well as her son. This constitutes a huge loss on her behalf. It is therefore submitted to the Honorable Court that charges framed under
Yes.
the charges framed under Section 304 and 336 of KPC against the employees of the respondent stands justified in the present matter, and the petitioner wants should be provided with the compensation.
Right.
If Your Lordship are satisfied with my contention, should I move forward to the next issue?
Yes, please. Go ahead.
Much obliged. The next issue is whether the petition filed by Jamie and Theon is maintainable or not. Your Lordship, Section 482 of CRPC states that nothing in this code shall be deemed to limit or affect the inherent powers of the High Court to make such orders as may be necessary to give effect any order under this code or to prevent abuse of the process of any court, otherwise to secure ends of justice. Your Lordship, the inherent power under Section 482 CRPC should not be exercised to stifle a legitimate prosecution. A subsequent complaint based on a fresh cause of action is not abuse of the process of the court. In this view has been
Against which order he has come in 482? Against which order he has come in 482?
cognizance order of the
Okay.
Learned J.
Okay. What is the principle of cognizance?
You ordered the law
Yeah, I want to know law.
190 of CRPC.
Your pardon?
Your Lordship, 190 of CRPC.
Okay. No, you answer. What is the law declared by this our High Court when our Sir Justice S. Naidu was there? Can you tell me that principle on this cognizance?
He will not remember. Now, nowadays I find all these mooters, when they want
Sir, we are obliged to your lordship because your lordship has given a very good principle on cognizance. And by that, if you can tell that, then definitely it will highlight our memorial lecture.
I beg your pardon, Your Lordship.
It has been adopted till now.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
You see, his lordship has propounded that during time of cognizance, at least the magistrate not required to any given regions. And at least if in not regions, also the cognizance is good. Okay. So you explain it.
Indeed, Your Lordship.
And the lordship has given it lot of decision on that. If I'm incorrect, I may correct it by law.
Right, you're right, Justice.
I plead your ignorance, Your Lordship. I would study more about it.
You should rely upon Odisha High Court judgments. You should read Odisha High Court judgments first, thereafter sister High Courts.
Yes.
Because binding, that is only.
Our High Court is to be first to be is a binding. That has to be followed. That is the principle of precedent.
Persuasive.
That is principle of precedent.
Are persuasive value, but our High Court judgment is
Binding. Yes.
Indeed, Your Lordship.
I'm obliged to your lordship. Yes.
Much obliged.
Yes.
Even though the inherent jurisdiction of the High Court under Section 482 is very wide, it has to be exercised sparingly, carefully, and with caution, and only when such exercise is justified by the test specifically laid down in the.
I told you, na, that taking cognizance simply is not abuse of process. So how the 482 apply? Please explain.
Your Lordship, I beg your pardon. Can you repeat? I couldn't understand.
I told you now that taking cognizance simply by the magistrate is not abuse of process. So unless there is abuse of process, 482 will not come. So explain how 482 will attract it.
Your Lordship, when the criminal proceedings are going on, then
I am giving clue. You see, you are not pick up the point. Anyhow, proceed.
Indeed, Your Lordship. This view has been taken by the Honorable SC in the judgment of State of Bihar versus another versus KJD Singh. The Honorable Supreme Court had a question whether the criminal proceedings can be paused even before the decree has yet to be passed. The Supreme Court went ahead and held that the inherent power under 482 has to be exercised for the ends of justice and should not be arbitrarily exercised to cut short the normal process of a criminal trial. Also in Janta Dal versus H.S. Chaudhary, it has deprecated the practice of quashing criminal trials and police investigation except in exceptional cases. And Your Lordship, this present case is certainly not one of these exceptional cases. As the council just stated in the previous issue, as the council just stated in the previous issue, that there was the accused were liable under 304A and 336 of KPC, which are cognizable offense. In the backdrop and scope of ambit of inherent jurisdiction of High Court under 482 section of CRPC, it has examined in the judgment of State of Haryana versus and others versus Bhajan Lal, the relevant para. Your Lordship, I would have screen shared, but I don't have.
All right, proceed. Bhajan Lal case, no problem. Yes, proceed.
Much obliged, Your Lordship.
Proceed.
Your Lordship, in that case,
What is the power of the High Court under 482? What is called? The power is called what?
What is the power?
As your friend said, writ jurisdiction. Like that, 482 is what type of jurisdiction under criminal procedure code?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, proceed.
Inherent jurisdiction.
Yeah.
Well, that's right.
Correct,
That's the
correct. Yes. Go ahead.
Much obliged, Your Lordship. As mentioned, in the state of Haryana and others versus Bhajan Lal, where the point number 1, where the allegation made in the first information report or the complaint, even if they are taken at their face value, accepted their entirety, do not prima facie constitute any offense or make out a case against the accused. Your Lordship, the allegation made against the accused makes a prima facie case, as it is an admitted fact that the accident happened due to the negligence of accused. The allegation made in the FIR discloses the cognizable offense which is in the part 2, where the allegation in the first information report and other materials, if any, accompanying the FIR do not close a cognizable offense, justifying an investigation by police under 156(1) of the code, except under an order of magistrate within the purview of 155(2) of the code.
Madam, what is the difference between a cognizable case and a non-cognizable case?
Your Lordship, in the cognizable case, the police can arrest without warrant, and in a non-cognizable case, the police can't.
He has to come and surrender.
Uh,
Somebody has to arrest him. Or need not be
Most
arrested.
circumstances, the accused can be arrested on non-cognizable case.
What is the sentence between the two? In a cognizable case, the sentence should be more
I
than-
beg your pardon, Your Lordship.
in a cognizable case, a case which is cognizable. What is the quantum of punishment awarded? The
So,
punishment awarded.
Cognizable, non-cognizable. You see, police can arrest without warrant.
That is one
Police
ingredient.
cannot arrest without warrant. You see, non-cog. So non-cog, the magistrate's power, magistrate's order is to obtain. So that is basic difference. And second thing, normal non-cog cases actually is bailable. No, cognizable cases sometimes non-bailable, sometimes bailable.
Available.
So many differences there. What is
Offense, punishment imposed 7 years, more than 7 years, less than 7 years. That is also necessary to decide. All right, go ahead, no problem.
Go ahead.
I plead your ignorance, Your Lordship.
That's all right.
Okay, good. Your pleading is good.
Are you
Go ahead.
Who knows the fundamentals, so she will pick it up, no problem. Go ahead.
Much obliged. Moreover, evidence as the post-mortem report also suggests that the death was due to electrocution, and the witness also interpreted the same. All of which directly indicates the accused were at fault. Thus, the cognizance order is not liable to be quashed. Thus, the counsel concludes with charges framed against the respondent under section 304.
1 minute, madam. The accused persons were not there on the spot. They were not at all, they are not snapped that wire, live wire, right? Live wire just is hanging and someone touch and also happened. How far this 304 will come? What type of negligence there? What kind of liability is there? So that they can book.
Your Lordship, it is under strict liability.
All right, go ahead. I think you have not got the clue from the first questions asked to your friend, right? Anyhow, proceed.
Your
Proceed.
Lordship,
Yes.
may with the honorable bench permission, the council would like to answer on behalf of our co-counsel.
What is that?
Your Lordship,
Not now.
section
Let her finish. Thereafter, if necessary, we'll ask.
Indeed, Your Lordship.
Yes.
Please.
Yes. You can audit.
Not in between.
Yes. Less. Proceed.
Thus, the counsel concludes with the charges framed against the respondent under section 304A and 336 of KPC are sustainable, and the cognizance order of the learned JMFC is not liable to be quashed. If your Lordship are satisfied with my contention, should I move forward to the prayer?
Proceed.
We are very much satisfied. Go. Move.
Much obliged.
Faster.
In the light of the issues raised, arguments advanced, and the authorities cited, it has been humbly prayed that this honorable court may be pleased to adjudge and declare that, firstly, the petition filed by Danny is maintainable before this High Court. Secondly, that there is gross negligence on the part of the
Who has
respondent.
filed the petition? Who has filed the petition before the High Court on the 482?
Your Lordship, Danny,
Danny,
the wife of the deceased.
why? You will file the petition before the High Court under 482? What for?
No, Your Lordship, it is not under 226.
For it, that is mandamus, not the cognizance.
You see, you
Cognizance-
are speaking for the criminal case. She has spoken for this writ matters. Why do unnecessary intermingle with those things? You are not sure about the facts. Which you
No,
are
Your
arguing.
Lordship, both the cases are clubbed, so the prayer is clubbed in.
All right.
That's all. All
That's
right,
all.
good.
Your Lordship, the council would like to answer the contentions.
Your term is over. Your term is over.
Your turn will come after their submission.
Only after the defense,
Okay.
I mean, the other side's you
Yes.
get a right of reply, then you reply. All right? Yes, we'll go to the other side. Yes. Respondent or opposite party, whatever you call.
Respondent.
Yes.
My Lordship, the Council seek permission from this Honorable Court of Winterfell to approach the dais on behalf of respondent of first case.
Okay.
Shall I proceed?
Who is the
Yes.
respondent?
Company.
No, count respondent company, right?
IPCWDL Company.
Okay. Proceed.
My Lord, may I state the jurisdiction of the case with due permission?
Proceed.
Yes, whatever you like to place.
My Lord, the appellant in the instant case has invoked the jurisdiction of Honorable High Court of Winterfell under Article 226 of Constitution of King's Landing, which is the power of High Court to issue certain writs in nature of habeas corpus, mandamus, quo warranto, prohibition, certiorari, or any of them for the infringement of the rights present in Part 3 of the Constitution of King's Landing or for any other given purposes.
Types of writs.
My Lord, my opponent counsel had missed some of the main facts. Can I state those?
Yeah, please go.
Now,
My Lord.
according to you, which type of writ is invited here? This writ application is under
They
which-
have issued a writ of mandamus.
right. Then what is your reaction? Is it maintainable?
See
No, my
narrating
lord.
the facts. See narrating the facts.
My Lord, she has skipped some of the important facts which should be narrated before the text. My Lord, Union of King's Landing is one of the disaster-prone countries, and Winterfell is one of the state of King's Landing, which is located towards the eastern part of it. IPCWDL Company here is a joint venture between the Iron Power and the government of Winterfell. My Lord,
Yes.
My Lord, on 23rd June 2021, a tropical cyclone named Night King struck the Winterfell, and which was the one of the strongest cyclone, and which wind speed was around 140 kilometers per hour, which blew up the houses, roofs, uprooted the trees, and also damaged the power lines, for which there was a 7 days cut off of electricity. But my Lord, my company and their workers duly checked all the wells, inspected and repaired by the technician, and thereafter the electricity was supplied to the consumer. My Lord, I want to add one more fact. On 20th July 2021, while John and his son were returning to their home on their regular pathway, it started raining heavily. And within a fraction of second, my Lord, it has been mentioned in the fact that within a fraction of second, the live power wire fell on his head, which is nothing but an act of God. And my Lord, I also want to add another fact that on 26th August, Danny claimed 20 lakh of compensation against the company before Consumer Dispute Redressal Commission. However, she withdrew the file and to file the same before the civil court, but to which she didn't file that before the civil court and directly went to the High Court. And according to her, what she said, High Court can issue a writ upon only infringement of fundamental right. And here, no right is violated, which will be proved with the further arguments. May I proceed towards the issue of the current case?
Yes. Proceed.
Indeed, my lord. Issue number 1. Whether there was any negligence on the part of company or not. Issue number 2. Whether the writ petition is maintainable or not. Whether High Court of Winterfell has jurisdiction for the writ petition filed by Ms. Danny or not. Third, is direction for restoration of electricity in writ petition before High Court is maintainable or not. Fourth issue, whether cognizance order passed by a learned JMFC under section 304A and 336 against Jamie and Theos shall be quashed or not. My lordship, the first 3 issues which are related to Danny versus company are to be handled by me, And the last issue, which is the second case between Jamie Theon and the case in the state of Winterfell, is to be handled by my co-counsel. Shall I move forward with the arguments?
Yeah, proceed.
My lordship, whether there was any negligence on the part of the company or not, it is humbly submitted that company was never negligent on its part while discharging its statutory duty, as in the aftermath of Cyclone Night King, all the faults were duly checked, inspected, repaired, and thereafter the electricity was restored to the consumer. And both of the deaths of the deceased occurred due to heavy rainfall. After that, within a fraction of a second, the live power was snapped and fall on the head of the deceased, which is an unforeseeable event, unavoidable event, which direct towards the act of God, not the negligence on the company. Negligence is a breach of duty caused by the omission to do something which is a reasonable man guided by those considerations which ordinarily regulates the conduct of human affair would do, or doing something which a prudent or reasonable man would not do. Essential of negligence. The defendant owed a duty of care towards the plaintiff. The defendant must have breached that duty. Third,
Madam?
the plaintiff.
1 minute.
Yes, my lord, sir.
Due to the heavy rains, how many places such snapping of line came up? In how many places the line snapped up? If you say, according to the facts, there only one. So how you say that it's a negligence? If there would have been a negligence, then there will be several places where the
Yes, my lord. Yes, my lord. I am from the company side, respondent side. They were saying that there is no negligence on the company, because only from one part there was snapped off electric wire, not from other parts.
Is it the fact there that on other parts it is not snapped at all? Is there any fact given to
My
you?
lord, the fact is silent on this aspect.
Yes. Then you
Yeah,
are
therefore-
only giving the fact that on that particular spot that was snapping, and that is why he came in contact and got the electrocuted.
only because there was latches at that point. You didn't fix up rightly. That's why the accident took place. If it would have been an act of God, then several places there would have been snapping
Yes.
of line.
No, so that is
One
absent. So you can't
snapped
take
off.
that plea.
That means that line was not properly fixed by your, whatever, maybe engineers or.
My lord, after the cyclone, it was duly checked and repaired. But this which happened was due to heavy rainfall, and within a fraction of second, my lord, it has been mentioned in the fact that within a fraction of second, the wire snapped and fell on his head,
Yeah.
which is totally an unforeseeable event. And according to the definition of act of God, we can
One
say
minute.
that
1 minute. That means the preparing what you have undertaken the earlier occasion. That is not correct. That is why immediately after rain, it has fallen. Why can't this plea would not be taken? To cut your argument.
my lord, act of God is an unforeseeable event. It can happen anywhere. It is
Okay.
not within the
Okay, proceed.
duty of care of the plaintiff. It means a legal duty rather than mere a moral, religious, or social duty.
Okay.
That means there should be a breach of duty, my lord. IPCWDL having duty of care towards the consumer has taken all necessary care and precaution to avoid any accident, which is well picked from the fact itself. In the aftermath of Cyclone Night King, electricity supply was cut off for 7 days. All the faults were duly checked, repaired by the officers, and thereafter the electricity was restored to the consumer. And also, there is no breach of duty on the part of respondent, as an unfortunate incident or an unforeseeable and unavoidable incident happened on 20 July 2021 during heavy rainfall, which is nothing but act of God. So damage was suffered due to this incident. They were discharging the company from the liability of negligence. Death was due to act of God. An act of God is a general defense used in cases of torts when an event over which the defendant has no control over occurs and the damage is caused by the force of nature, my lord. In those cases, defendant will not be liable in tort of law for such inadvertent damage. Act of God defined as circumstances which no human foresight can provide against any of which human prudence is not bound to recognize the possibility, and which, when they do occur.
Madam, you are supposed to argue. You can't read it. If you go on reading 5, 10, 15 pages a day, that's not arguing. You have to argue, no? You have to argue, not go on reading your whatever you have
Correct.
That's not the way.
Yes, sir. You are an arguing lawyer. You say you are not supposed to read it because your argument should be there. Right. Proceed.
So
My
you have
lord, these are the.
to look at our eyes and argue, not to your book.
Yes, my lord. My lord, these are the point note down by myself only.
Yourself, naturally. You have to note down that, then you pass on the note while you are arguing. We'll read it.
You have prepared it.
No, my lord, there are some notes written on it, and I will also argue.
All right. Let her finish.
But the notes, but you can't read the notes.
Okay, fine.
Pardon, my lord.
Yeah. Please. Go ahead. Yes.
Yes, my lord. So, my lord, according to the incident which happened on 23rd of June 2021, when the cyclone occurred, it had a speed of around 140 kilometers per hour. It was so strong cyclone, which causes many damage, like uprooting the trees and blowing up the houses roof, and to which our company has fixed all the airline which were damaged within 7 days.
Don't repeat. We have already submitted that earlier. Don't repeat.
Yes, my lord. I just want to say that they have completed all their duties within 7 days. Even though that was a huge cyclone and it has caused so many damage, our company totally repaired everything within 7 days, and it has provided the consumer with the electricity, thereby totally finishing their statutory duty. They were not negligent to their statutory duty. Thereby, my lord, discharging the company from their charge of negligence. Can I move towards the issue number 2, whether the writ petition is maintainable?
Yes, proceed.
My lord, it is humbly submitted that company was never negligent on its part, and also it was the cause of act of God.
Yes.
My lord, can I cite a case law?
It is up to you.
Yes, my lord. Petitioner ought to have approached appropriate civil code, my lord, for the quantum of the compensation, as it needs disputed question of facts, and which are like the age of the deceased, earning capacity, and other factual aspects, and which cannot be decided in a writ petition filed under Article 226 of the Constitution, which need to be decided under a trial court. No doubt, High Court.
But I think you have omitted one fact that without a notice you have cut off the power, no?
No, my lord. In the fact, there are no such statements which can prove that we have not provided any notice.
Okay. But is the writ petition not maintained in all cases where the facts are required to be proved?
My lord, the writ petition is maintainable under the High Court, but where there is a disputed question of fact, that should be there under the trial court, not under High Court.
Only it is a disputed fact. What is the quantum of compensation? Nothing more than that. Principle is there. So the compensation quantum cannot be fixed by the High Court under its innate jurisdiction. In the writ
But
petition,
my lordship, the quantum of compensation depends on the disputed question of fact.
if you say writ is not maintainable,
Yes, my lord.
facts that you are not disputing the compensation, but you are disputing the act of God. Why the question of
Yes, my lord.
compensation quantum comes?
My lord, they have raised this issue for compensation of 40 lakhs, to which I have this agreement.
You say that he is not entitled. That's all. It is only answer that. You have not disputed this is entitled to 30 lakhs or 20 lakhs. Okay. The
Yes, my
question
lord.
of fact does not come. You say that it is not maintainable. Yes. Proceed.
Yes, my lord. STU Grid Corporation of Odisha Limited versus Timodo Onam. In this case, the writ petition under Article 226 of the Constitution were not fit for exercising the jurisdiction under 226 of the Constitution of India. It was held that the action in tort and negligence were required to be established initially by the claimant, and the onus lies upon the claimant. The mere fact that wire of the electricity transmission line belonging to the appellant or to the company has snapped and the deceased has come in contact with it and died was not sufficient for awarding the compensation. The court was required to examine as whether the wire was snapped as a result of any negligence on the part of the appellant, or as a result of which deceased has come in contact with the wire, which can also be a contributory negligence. Where when it was raining heavily, it was on the
Facts are completely different. Here the facts are, he was walking, it was raining, and all of a sudden it snapped and hit him. This is the facts, admitted facts.
Your that decision, not that fact.
Your
But,
facts,
what the lawyer is speaking is correct.
facts of that decision is something different.
Yes.
yes, my lordship, the fact of the decision is something else. I just added this point because he said that there was a hanging wire, to which I just added this point.
You see, ratio decidendi of that case is not a particular fact in this case. So you have to see that where the ratio will apply. Without a ratio being examined, you shouldn't apply the decision.
Yes, my lord. This case totally applies here. The court was required to examine as whether the wire had snapped as a result of negligence on the part of appellant, or as a result of which the deceased has come in contact with the wire. In view of the defense raised,
In that case which you are referring, the line was hanging, and this gentleman, when he was passing, he didn't watch. He was
kept in touch.
walking on the road. He should have been watchful where he's stepping, and he hit the. But here, all of a sudden, the wire snapped and it fell in on his head. It is not that any contributory negligence can be attributed to the claimant here.
You cannot twist the fact. You cannot twist the fact, madam.
Different facts.
You
All right,
can't
go
twist
ahead.
the fact.
my lord, in the fact, it was only written that the deceased has come in contact with the wire.
You read it again. The fact is not
Yes,
that.
my lordship.
What sir is telling is correct.
Yes, my lordship, I am reading the fact again. The
Yes.
mere fact that the wire of electric transmission line belonging to the appellant has snapped and the deceased had come in contact with it, died itself was not sufficient for awarding compensation.
Come to para
This
5.
was the fact.
Come to para 5. Come to para 5 of the facts. You see that to the author, this may within the fraction of a second, a live power wire directly fell on the head of this John Snow. Okay.
Yes, my lord.
So you should not at all dispute the facts, because when
My lord,
Sarah told it, you should not dispute it. At least you accept it is okay. With kind gesture, you should show it. That is the argument he used to make.
pardon, my lord.
Yes.
The case I was citing, and this was the fact of the cases which of SDO Grid Corporation of Odisha Limited versus Timudu Orang, not of our fact. I was citing the fact of this case only.
Okay. Next.
Yes, my lord.
So that will
the-
not apply. So that will not apply.
My lord, which one?
Which
Ratio.
one who read it?
SDO Grid My lord, SDO Grid Corporation has the same fact as of ours.
Okay.
All right.
Fine.
According to
Go ahead.
Sarah,
Go
go
ahead.
ahead. No problem.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
In view of defense raised, the denial by the appellant in each cases, the appellant deserve an opportunity to prove that proper care and precaution were taken in maintaining the transmission line. And
You are again reading.
um,
You can't.
my lord, it was the case law.
Okay.
Go
Go
ahead.
ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I beg pardon.
Yes.
Such disputed question of fact should not have been cited, should not have been reached before the Honorable High Court under Article 226 of the Constitution. Rather, they should have gone before the trial court.
Okay.
Yes,
Next.
my lord. I just want to add more one thing. And what she says that Article 226 can only be issued under the High Court when there is an infringement of a fundamental right, when a fundamental right is violated. But my lord, here there is no violation of fundamental right. Shall I move towards the issue 3, which says that there is no violation of a fundamental right?
Move.
No doubt, my lord, electricity is a fundamental right. under Article 21.
I see.
But my lord, as per Danny's husband, he had not paid the bill amounting to 15,000 and was a regular defaulter. They were the negligent and they had not fulfilled their duty, which is according to Section 4 of Electricity Act 2003, that it is the duty upon the consumer to pay the electricity bill. And also according to Section 56(1) of
1 minute. A person who doesn't have electricity at all, a very poor person, he doesn't have electricity, did not pay you. He's walking in the street and there is an accident like this one and he died. Then you will say because he's not taking electricity, he's not entitled to compensation.
How far this connected to this? How far this connected to this?
my lord, I was
You have a right to disrupt his electricity supply. That is another thing. But the accident which took place has got nothing to do with it. Any Tom, Dick and Harry, any person walking on the street, all of a sudden come in contact with a live wire and dies, and that too due to your negligence, then you are liable to pay the compensation. There it has got nothing to do whether it's a customer, not customer, whether it's paid, not paid. These are all backseat. Instant. So go ahead.
yes, my lord. I just wanted to put my arguments against which he read that there is violation of our fundamental rights.
Yes.
My lord, according to Rule 56(1) of Electricity Act 2003, on default of payment of electricity due,
We understand that point. Next issue, please.
my lord, the next issue is to be handled by my co-counsel.
Okay, fine. Go
My
ahead.
lord, any question?
We have already asked the question. We have got the answer. That's all. I think sir will ask any question. Next, please.
My Lordship, the co-counsel seek permission before the Honorable High Court of Winterfell to approach the dais on behalf of the petitioner of the second case. My Lordship, with due permission, may I state the jurisdiction of the second case?
Yes.
My Lordship, the petitioner of the second case has invoked the jurisdiction of the second case of the Honorable High Court of the Winterfell under Section 482 of CRPC 1973. Section
Who
4,
are the petitioners in second case? Who are the petitioners?
Jamie and
You don't know.
Jamie and Theon are the petitioner here.
Who are they? Who are they?
They are the petitioners.
Petitioners. What
What
is that?
What what nexus they have with the writ application or anything, the case?
They are the
Yes.
engineers actually.
All right, go ahead. No
Okay. Proceed.
Section 482 of CRPC says it simply provides the provision of inherent power of the High Court that speaks about how a High Court can pass.
Again you are reading. Both of you are habituated of reading. You have to submit, not read. How we will assess you unless if you go on reading a book? You look at us and argue, right? Look at us. Look at our eyes and mesmerize us by your arguments. Come on. Don't look down.
Section 482 simply provides the provision of inherent power of the High Court that speaks about how a High Court can pass necessary orders to pervert the abuses of the process of the lower courts. Honorable High Court also ensures that it can even limit or affect the orders of the lower courts, both magistrate courts and session courts. Moving towards the last issue of the second case, whether the cognizance order passed by the learned JMFC under Section 304A and 336 against Jamie and Theon shall be quashed or not. Moving towards the argument advanced, it is humbly contended to the counsel that both the petitioner of the second case were not criminally negligent in causing the death of both the deceased, as the death was result of an unforeseeable incident, that is, act of God. Neither did any negligent act to endanger human life or personal safety of others, thereby discharging them from charges under section 304A and 336 of KPC. Hence, the cognizance order should be quashed. Criminal negligence. Criminal negligence is gross and culpable neglect or failure of exercise reasonable and proper care and precaution and guard against injury to public generally or to an individual in particular, which having regard to all circumstances out
Okay.
of which the charge
One
has.
thing, explain me that what the difference between the negligence and the intention under the criminal law.
Sir, a person does any act which is regard to obvious risk to safety of a human life is known as criminal negligence.
What is intention then?
Question is intention, huh? Right? What is the intention and negligence? What is the difference between the two?
Between two.
Sir, my
Knowing
lordship,
fully well,
the
knowing
negligence.
fully well,
Are you aware or not?
I'm giving you some tips.
Yes, my lordship.
Knowing
What
fully
is, the,
well,
what is the difference between the 324 and 336 IPC?
Pardon, my lordship.
What is the difference between section 324 IPC and 336 IPC? Okay, proceed.
all right, go. No problem.
Right.
Proceed
Go
in
ahead.
your way.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead. Yes. Proceed.
304A, death due to negligence. Whoever causes death of any person by doing any rash or negligent act not amounting to culpable homicide shall be punished with imprisonment of either description for a term which may be extended to 2 years or with fine or with both. Cognizable, bailable, trialable by magistrate of the first class, and it is non-compoundable offence. To maintain the charges under section 304A of KPC, some of the essential ingredients must be satisfied. And the ingredients, firstly, there should be rash and negligent act of the accused. Secondly, the death must be direct result of such rash and negligent act without intervention of another negligence. No negligence on the part of the accused. The petitioner has taken proper care and precaution in maintenance of electric fire in aftermath of cyclone Night King, and all of faults were duly checked and hence inspected and repaired, and thereafter electric supply was restored to the consumers. My lord, that was due to an act of God. An act of God is generally defense used in a case of torts when an event over which the defendant has no control over occur and damage is caused by the force of nature. In those cases, the defendant which not be liable in law of tort for such inadvertent damage act of God defines as circumstances which no human foresight can provide against, any of which human prudence is not bound to recognize the possibility, and which, when they occur, thus calamities that do not involve the obligation of paying for consequences that result for them. Act of God or vice measure was also considered to be a defense to an action under the rule in Ryland versus Fletcher by Blacksburn J. himself. Act of God has also defined as circumstances which no human foresight can provide against, and of which human prudence is not bound to recognize the possibility. If the escape has been unforeseen and become because of the supernatural force without any human intervention, the defense of act of God can be pleaded. And hence the case of Nichols versus Marshland serves a good illustration where the defense was successfully pleaded. As per the fact, on 20th July 2021, there was a heavy rainfall while both the deceased returning home through the electric wire was properly connected. But to the uttermost dismay, suddenly a live power line fell on the head of John, which resulted in his death, which is nothing but an unforeseeable event due to an act of God, thereby discharging the guilt of both the accused death due to the criminal negligence under section 304A of KPC.
So the wire snapped automatically, or somebody did it? The wire.
Pardon me, Lord?
The wire, it snapped. You said that all of a sudden the wire snapped. Is it automatic or somebody did it? That means whether some unforeseen power did it. How you say that it's an act of God? Because you have not connected it properly, it snapped. Very simple thing.
You are in the earlier occasion, you have not taken proper care of your
My
wires.
Lord,
Well,
my Lord, it is an act of God because it is stated in the facts itself.
Your act of God, you are repeating time and again, but not explaining what is act of God.
It was sudden. It was a sudden and
it was sudden, all right.
rainfall.
All right,
occurred.
sir.
Take while before snapping, it will not give a siren or ask everybody to go away. It has to be sudden, but sudden because it was not tied properly. If it would have been tied, fixed properly, it would not have snapped like many other connections in the town. All right, go ahead. No problem.
After the cyclone, my Lord, it is duly checked,
Yes.
All right, next issue.
and hence there was no problem in 20 days, my Lord.
Okay, next issue.
336 Act endangering life or personal safety of others. Whoever does any act so rashly or negligently as to endanger human life or personal safety of others shall be punished with imprisonment of either description for a term which may be extended to 3 months or with fine, which may extended to 250 rupees or both.
Please.
And ingredients of it are as follows. Firstly, the act of an accused must be rashly or negligently in nature. Secondly, such act must be endangering human life or personal safety of others. As per the facts, both the petitioner performed the statutory duties under the
All right,
Electricity
all right.
Act.
Don't read all these things. Yes, proceed with the argument.
My
Next,
Lord,
please.
may the council be allowed to proceed for the prayer of the case?
Yes.
Therefore, in the lights of the facts stated, issue raised, authority cited, and argument advanced, it is humbly prayed before the Honorable Court that it may please to adjudge and declare there is no negligence on the part of the company, which is IPCWDL. The writ petition filed by the wife of the deceased for 40 lakhs compensation is not maintainable, and the High Court of Winterfell has no jurisdiction for said petition. Thirdly, the direction to the company for the restoration of electricity connection is not maintainable. Fourthly, the cognizance order passed by the learned JMFC under section 304A and 336 against Jemian Thion should be quashed.
Okay.
All of which are respected to be submitted for the act for the kindness and respondent of the case 1 and petitioner of second case as in duty bound shall ever pray.
Thank you. That's all. Now we have a. We should take a break, sir. We should take a break for 5 minutes.
Sir, my lord, can I answer the
Not you.
Let's hear the answer. Is there for reversal? Any time is there?
Your Honours, yes, indeed, your Lordships, there are time for the rebuttals. Team 11 petitioner have taken 5 minutes for the rebuttals from their 1 hour time, and team 5 respondents have taken 8 minutes for the rebuttals.
You wanted to clarify something. Ask them to clarify.
Your Lordship.
Yes. The first team.
AKM 11 wanted to clarify things from the
Team 11.
petitioner. Yes, yes, madam. What
Your
clarification you wanted?
Lordship, the council would like to state some arguments on behalf of the contentions made forward by the respondent.
Yes. Go ahead first.
Your Lordship, the Council for Respondent has stated the case of SDO Grid Corporation of Odisha. Your Lordship, the Council would like to bring forward the notice that in that case there are disputed facts of question involved, as there was the intervention of third parties and illegal hooking. So there was disputed questions of fact, but in this present case, it is not a matter of disputed question of fact, as there has been clear statement that electrocution has happened, and the same has been confirmed by the doctors and postmortem report. The second contention put forward by the respondent is that it is an act of God. The council would like to bring forward the fact that act of God is a natural disaster under which if there is a bunch of perils. This means that it should affect a lot of peoples together. The said fact doesn't apply here, as there has only been two deaths and it has not affected a large bunch of people. Your Lordship, the respondent has failed to perform its.
You can't repeat the same things which you have argued. You have to argue only one or two points which you wanted to clarify. Nothing. You are repeating again. We have heard you.
If you are on rebuttal, then close it. No problem.
Rebuttal will be very close,
very limited.
Indeed, Your Lordship.
All right. You tell your partner to supplement you if at all anything left.
That's all. I think both sides have completed.
Okay. Fine.
Your Lordship,
My Lordship,
Yes. Yes.
my Lordship, can I put forward my argument towards the statement?
Now you go ahead.
Yes.
No problem. 2 minutes.
Yes.
Yes, my Lordship. She stated that in this current case, there is no disputed question of fact. But my Lordship, they are asking for compensation of 40 lakhs, which also should be decided after taking disputed question of fact into consideration, which requires the age of the deceased, his earning, which has to be satisfied before the trial court. Then how come without going through the trial court, you move directly towards the High Court?
You are putting a question to us. We have to answer.
No, my Lordship, it is
How
question
come
to them.
you have to putting a question which should how it will be? All right. Thank you.
Pardon, my Lordship, it was for the party one.
Right.
Submission should not be like that. Submission should be that actually the disputed question is this, and Honorable Court may kindly decide whether it is maintained or not. You submission like this. So the
Pardon, my Lord.
Yes. That's all. Good.
My Lord, and second argument is that they also stated that notice has been provided by their company.
Mm-hmm.
And my Lord, in fact, there is nowhere it has been mentioned that the notice has been provided.
All right.
Yes, my Lord.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Completed. Close.
And my Lord, she also,
Yes.
Yes.
and my Lord, she has also stated in her jurisdiction that 226 can only be accepted when there is infringement of the fundamental right of the petitioner. And in the current case, there is no infringement of fundamental right of the petitioner.
That is repetition.
Which
That is repetition, what was said.
Right. That's all.
yes, my Lord. Indeed, my Lord.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, both of you. Right, Rose?
Much obliged.
much obliged, Your Lordship. Your Lordships, now I request our eminent advocate, Prabhashanna Bera, to please address the vote of thanks to the Lordship.
Thank you, Avinash. At the outset, we are deeply honored and we are grateful to two of the greatest stalwarts of law, as we all know, who have been inspiring law students, and law students meaning thereby advocates and judicial officers, and those who are aspiring to become judicial officers also. I extend my deep sense of gratitude to my Lord Honorable Justice A.S. Naidu, sir, for his valuable time out of his busy schedule. Sir, your presence indeed inspired us, and we are truly grateful for your presence, sir. I should mention that sir is the person who personally, from the student life, he has always been with the students and always encouraged the students. I have seen it during my student life, and till now, he has always been inspiration and encouraging to all such event, and his contribution to socio-legal and academic activities are par excellence. We are deeply indebted, sir, for your kind presence and for your guidance and continuous inspiration. Thank you, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, and my dear friends, we have my Lord Dr. Justice D.P. Chaudhary, sir, who has also been a great source of inspiration for us. I should mention it's a wonderful combination. When I was a student, my Lord Justice Naidu was the judge and was inspiring me as a student. And when I joined the bar, my Lord Justice, I could not get an opportunity to appear before Justice Naidu, but I had an opportunity. I started appearing before my Lord Justice Chaudhary, who has been very strict. At the same time, I have learned a lot. And like me, many young advocates have learned from the strictness of my Lord Justice Chaudhary. So we always feel enlightened and encouraged when we have my Lord Justice Chaudhary with us. And his contribution, his personality, and his presence in socio, legal, and more particularly in academic field is definitely citable. We always cite. Thank you, sir, for your kind presence and continuous guidance. We are truly indebted for your presence. Thank you, sir. I thank our secretary and a true leader, Sri Bijay Kumar Ragad, my elder brother, who is shouldering the responsibility of many such activities. Thank you for your continuous presence. And I also thank the family members of our learned senior, Dr. Ashok Kumar Mahapatra, who has been the backbone of this committee, who has been supporting us in many ways. But sir, with your permission, I know I'm getting late, but I would like to thank the volunteers, more particularly Haraprasad and Avinash Nanda and his team and their team, who has been continuously tirelessly working to make this event a grand success. With this, I thank one and all who are present here, all the participants and the colleges who have sponsored their students to participate in such event. And we also assure that every year we will continue with such event, and with the blessings of our judges who have been grateful and gracious enough to be present in this event. Thank you everybody. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. But how we are going to collect these marks?
Thank you. Your Lordships,
sir,
Sir, I think
Yes, sir. Yes,
it will
sir.
be
Yes,
better,
sir.
sir. At least, sir, we'll take a 10 minutes break, then they will collect it, sir.
That's right. We'll do one thing. We'll switch off the participants. Kindly switch off all the participants. Just my brother and myself will have 2 minutes small discussion. Thereafter, we'll pronounce marks. Yes, organizer can be there, but all the artists who were appearing, you have to switch him off for 5 to 10 minutes.
No, sir. One thing, sir, I can talk to you over telephone, sir. Now, sir, they can go away, no problem.
Sure. They can also that.
Indeed, Your Lordships.
I'm connecting you just now.
Please, I am making mute myself,
Pardon?
and I'm making mute myself. Really, Dr. Ashok Kumar Mahapatra is no more, but still then we remember his voice, his argument, everything, and we also very much deeply really regret for his deaths, as on-time demise, and also his family members. We very much obliged to his family member. For you also, you organize a very noble thing that you organize one moot court competition. Yes, I know. Dr. Mahapatra was also one of the pioneers of this moot court competition. On many occasions, we have shared the dais as judges also. Anyhow, whatever may be, but I must express my gratitude to the family for organizing this one. I am also thankful to the organizers. And I also thankful to my sir who has given me all sorts of support always and to go ahead with this. Thank you.
In fact, Dr. Mapatra, he was almost my contemporary. May not be my contemporary directly, but he's almost my contemporary. And as I find him, he's a defense man. When he returned from defense and joined the bar, he had the same fragments of, fight. The fighting spirit in each case was there. Whichever cases he used to take, he has to take it as a personal challenge and see that he succeeds in the matter. That spirit was always there. In fact, he's a doyen of Odisha Bar High Court Bar Association. A very good orator, has written several books. You will find number of books by A.K. Mahapatra, Ashok Kumar Mahapatra, Dr. Mahapatra, and he is also a person who cannot be forgotten. I will rather say that he is a person whom what we can say he passed off. We are rather unlucky that we lost him in such a young age. He should have been a pioneer, as Dr. Chaudhary said, Justice Chaudhary said, he's a pioneer of the bar, and he should have been, for some time more, he should have been there to see that Odisha High Court Bar Association improves a little more. But outspeaking power, and I also pay my regards or best wishes I convey to all the family members. I also pray and wish that his son also grows up and becomes the substitute of his father. And may God bless him, and may God bless you all for the endeavor you have taken, for everything, for remembering the departed soul. You see, he's a person. Many people are born in this world, they pass on by time. And time is the biggest factor. He erases every memory. But there are some people come to this world whose memories cannot be eradicated. It will not be. It will always there with us. And Ms. Mahapatra, Dr. Mahapatra was one of such person whom you cannot forget. His way of life, his way of behavior, his speeches, his personality, everything is a mark. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Much obliged, sir. Much obliged.
God bless you, all of you.
Much obliged, sir.
Thank you.
Announce